Hello, we are live. Hello, everyone. I hope you all are having a wonderful morning. And welcome to another episode of Voices in Motions, where we highlight the people and partnerships making a difference in our communities. I am Shatea Williams, Outreach Coordinator here at Moms in Motion, and today we are joined by two incredible professionals from Hansel Union Consulting. We have Kristi Johnson, and she is the Chief Clinical Officer and Speech Lead, and we have Diana Lurving, who is the marketing coordinator and behavioral therapist. So I'm super excited to talk to you all today and learn about the services that you guys offer across the Commonwealth. And just to start things off, can you guys briefly introduce yourselves and share what inspired you to get into this field?
I'll go first. It's really great to be with you guys today. Thanks, Shatea, so much for the opportunity. My name is Kristi Johnson. I'm a speech language pathologist and, as Shatea said, a chief clinical officer at Hansel Union Consulting. I just love the work that we do. I provide speech therapy services for clients at our company, and it just is so rewarding to be able to help just from a communication standpoint, from a speech therapy standpoint. Communication is so important, but just as CCO2, just so inspired by the work that all of our therapists do every day to serve our clients so well and providers so well across the state of Virginia. And I really am thankful to be a part of our company and to be able to serve individuals in our community. Thanks again for having me.
Thank you for joining us.
So I'm Diana Levering. As Shatea said, I do marketing here at Hansel Union and also behavior consultation services. I have been with Hansel Union since September of 2018. So it has been a privilege to work here, to be able to serve the clients, but also provide education and understanding for families and providers of individuals. We are just such a wonderful company to be able to provide services to the individuals that we work with. And I really enjoy both aspects of the position here. So, and again, thank you for having us, Shatea. This is a really great privilege to be here.
You're welcome. So I'm super excited. Let's go ahead and dive right in. That way I can learn about how you guys have upgraded and spread across across the Commonwealth these last few years.
Yeah. So just have a little bit of a slideshow that we have to go through. So let's hop into our starting point, which is Dr. Bobby Hansel Union started the company back in 2010 with a mission to provide quality and personal wraparound services for those in need. Her passion was to improve the lives of all ages, adults and children with developmental, intellectual, and neurological disabilities through the multi-system approach with them. Our current service model was not as robust as it is now. So originally it started with behavior and then moved into behavior and recreation, and then behavior, recreation, and speech. And so now we have a vast variety of services that we are able to offer: speech, occupational, physical, behavioral, and psychological services. So since 2020, our team has grown from 20 therapists to over 50 therapists. So we've doubled in size, and we have therapists across the state of Virginia. We have therapists across the country that do virtual services. They are in Florida, North Carolina, Colorado, Indiana, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia, I believe. Kristi, did I miss anyone from any other state?
You got it.
Awesome. So with as vast of a company that we are with therapists, we also have to have a large admin team because they do the really, really difficult work of trying to herd in all of the services that we provide. And so we have our admin team lead, we have executive leaders, we have 5 supervisors, 4 administrative staff, and they do such a great job at keeping our paperwork organized and keeping us organized and on track. So we really would be lost without our admin team. And we do provide telehealth services, but we also provide both in-person and virtual when the client prefers it. Sometimes they prefer in-person, sometimes they prefer virtual, but we are able to provide a wide variety of services to the clients that we serve. So talking about our therapeutic services teams. So the way that we work as a consultation services, the general procedures are the same. So once we get a referral, we come in to work with clients. We all do those initial really deep dive chart reviews to find out as much as we can about the individuals and their support teams. Once we get that process done, we will reach out to the families or the caregivers. We'll start our initial assessment process, go out, whether it's virtual or in person, to meet with them. We'll have several meetings with them to be able to conduct our assessments with them. Each discipline obviously is going to have their own assessment because of their specializations. So the assessments will be done, and then along the way, we'll trial different things that we may want to use with the individual. For speech, it may be a communication system, device. For behavior, it may be some tools or resources for calming strategies, relaxation strategies, those sorts of things. So we do trial different things along the way. Once all of the assessments are done, we will develop our individualized behavior, speech, recreation, whichever plans they have. We'll develop our own plans, and then we'll present them to the caregivers, the clients, their providers. And typically we will follow up, monitor, make sure everything is running smoothly, modify anything that needs to be modified. And then we'll just continue to kind of track them and see how they're doing. Generally, we're discharging roughly about the 1 year mark. Sometimes it can extend a little bit. Sometimes we may discharge early, but generally, time frame wise, it's about a year that we're in with them. All right. So speech services, since Kristi is here and she is an awesome speech therapist, I'm going to let her cover that topic.
Happy to. As I mentioned earlier during our introductions, the purpose of speech therapy is to help the individuals that we serve to communicate as effectively as they possibly can. Our treatment plans are always person-centered. They are tailored exactly to what each client needs because the needs vary. Any resources that we provide, again, person-centered, tailored exactly to what each client needs. Sometimes clients can express their needs on their own to us. Sometimes they're not able to do that, and we work with providers to figure out exactly what their individuals need. So that's really that's a priority for us as a company and across disciplines, not just for speech. We always make sure that both our treatment plans and any resources or tools that we give are person-centered every single time. But for speech therapy, to dive into that a bit more, again, providing a variety of communication resources for the individuals that we serve. Those resources could range from no-tech or low-tech resources, such as communication pictures. So you think like paper-based resources. We can get clients set up with picture exchange communication systems, communication books, communication boards. So for example, if you can picture a communication board with about 12 pictures or so on it, that includes the client's favorite food items or favorite drink items that might be posted on the refrigerator or on the door of a pantry, and the client can point to what they want if they're not able to express what they would like to eat or drink verbally. We are also able to evaluate for and get or obtain high-tech communication devices for our clients when they're needed. We serve clients under Medicaid waiver, and so typically if we do our assessments and it's deemed that a high-tech communication device, so if you could picture an iPad type device or iPad style device or tablet style, there are various communication apps that we can recommend. So it's like similar to a paper-based communication board, it's just various pages on the high-tech device that have voice output. So if the client selects an icon for Apple, they tap it, it gives the voice output to really give them a voice if they are not able to independently express their choices verbally. But we work directly with communication device companies to trial and recommend and ultimately obtain personal and permanent communication devices for our clients. Again, they are tailored exactly to what the clients need. Lots of vocabulary modifications happening with those devices. So make sure, of course, they're person-centered. In addition to communication, speech language pathologists are also able to address concerns with regard to swallowing. Under Medicaid waiver, we are able to do informal assessments for swallowing or choking risk and provide resources as applicable. We are also able to, and we do, refer clients out for additional services that they may need, to include if a client needs a video swallow study for further in-depth assessment of swallowing. We can also always refer clients back to their primary care physicians as well with regard to swallowing needs. But just know that swallowing falls under the speech therapy umbrella, and we do address those needs and challenges as much as we can within the waiver services that we provide. In addition, within our consultative model, if we deem that direct services are necessary, so that would include a more intensive frequency of services. So under our consultative model, we see clients and or consult with providers at minimum once monthly. Oftentimes, it's more than that. It could be bi-weekly, sometimes weekly. It just depends on what the needs are. But we are able to refer for direct speech therapy services if deemed necessary, if a client needs a more intense schedule, such as twice a week, every week.
Thank you, Kristi.
That covers, yeah. That's hitting speech therapy high level, but I think I covered all of the highlights.
You did a great job. Thank you. Of course. Moving on to the recreation team, they are deemed our fun team. So whenever we have events within the company, they are the ones that put it together because they make it fun and enjoyable. For our individuals, what they do is they try to incorporate all of their preferred, enjoyed leisure activities, both inside and outside in all locations. So at their home, day program, out in the community, because they find that when a person generally has a more healthy social, emotional well-being, that generally they are happier individuals. When people can combat the boredom and the stress and the sadness, then they're more likely to be more active, more engaged, using less behaviors, more communicative, those sorts of things. So that's what they try to incorporate into the individuals' lives. They too make very person-centered resources. They do activities such as specific coloring sheets, or if they want to, the individuals want to work on money management, they can make budgeting fun. I don't know how budgeting can be fun, but they try to, they make it work for sure. But they also try to help the individuals build their self-confidence and physical strength through fun exercises. Again, I don't know how you make exercise fun, but they manage to find a way to do it every time. And again, some of the resources they put together community resource guides. So that is activities that the individuals and their families and providers can do out in the community, from free activities to some paid activities. For the spring and the fall, they will generally put together a resource guide, because there's always spring festivals or fall festivals that they like to make sure that the individuals can be part of their community in that way. They develop arts and craft activities. They do fun things like gel mat activities for individuals to work with and manipulate. And then they also put together activities that individuals can do with others to increase their appropriate socialization skills and the opportunities to engage with other people in appropriate ways to help build those friendships in the community. All right, occupational therapy and physical therapy. So within the state of Virginia, occupational therapy under the waiver, they do all of the sensory piece. So if there's someone who has some sensory needs, they are able to do those assessments and develop the tools and the resources. Or like Kristi said, for speech, they are able to write for any devices or equipment that is needed for the individuals and obtain those under the waiver. In addition to the sensory piece and the sensory diet, they also work on adaptive skills. So individuals who may have problems with daily living activities, such as bathing, toileting, personal hygiene, whether there's some physical need or there's some cognitive deficits that they can work to overcome with like a task list that they can create. I know I've worked with individuals who have had occupational therapy, and they are able to develop a task list for the shower to where the individual can be more independent in the shower just by following the pictures of step by step what needs to be done, so that they can have that privacy when they're in the shower and not rely on other people to do all of their bathing tasks for them. They also work on other activities of daily living, such as complex tasks, cleaning, cooking, shopping, those sorts of things. So they help on tasks such as making shopping lists, looking at what's on sale at the grocery store this week. Let's, go out and get the items that we need to make a preferred meal, following step-by-step directions. So they really do a great job at helping individuals be more independent in their homes and in the community, as much as they can be. And they try to make it, again, enjoyable for them to participate in the activities so that they can get that confidence in being able to do more and more things for themselves. They can also write for equipment, and helping to build those independent skills, such as medication organizers. If somebody has a lot of medications and they need to figure out how to make sure that they stay on track, they can write for those. They can write for adaptive utensils. So if somebody, for instance, has issues with Parkinson's or shaky hands, they can make recommendations for weighted utensils. They can make recommendations for non-slip eating dishes, bowls, plates, those sorts of things. Physical therapy, they are the ones that are going to be assessing for safety. So they do safety equipment, things such as wheelchairs, shower chairs. If somebody has issues transferring from, say, the bed to their wheelchair, they can help with transfer boards. For clients who are in their own home or who are in a family home that's not a sponsored home, they can help with finding resources for any environmental modifications that are needed. So that looks like ramps if they're in a wheelchair and they need ramps to get in and out of their home safely. It can also look like bathroom remodels for individuals to be safer in the bathroom, grab bars, non-step showers, those sorts of things. And then they can also look at range of motion and strength, mobility, trying to build in strength activities, range of motion activities for individuals. There is, for all of the environmental modifications and the assistive tech stuff that are needed, there is a $5,000 cap per program for the Medicaid waiver. So they really try to work with the contractors to be able to keep that cost down so that the families do not have to come from out of pocket. So that is definitely another thing that our therapists work diligently on, because they understand that the financial resources for our clients and their families are really, really important. Behavior services. So behavior therapy generally comes in when there are some socially inappropriate behaviors. A lot of times it can look like physical aggression, verbal aggression, property destruction, self-injury. So we look at that. We also look at the non-physical behaviors, such as if there's some verbal and emotional outburst, if a person is screaming and cussing and making verbal threats, we also help with those things as well. So behavior looks at the why. Why is somebody having the behaviors that they do? A lot of times families will say, or providers will say, the behavior came from out of nowhere. I don't know what happened. One minute the person was fine, and the next minute they're just screaming for no reason. The reality is that we all use behaviors every day, and there is purpose and there is reason. So what we do is try to look at what are the causes, what are the triggers of those behaviors, and then what are the consequences that maintain the behaviors. And so we look at trying to modify the environment, and we try to help the individuals get their needs and their wants met in a way that decreases those maladaptive behaviors and increases the replacement behaviors that we want to see, so that the individual is safe, so that the providers and the families and the communities are safe, and that as much as they want to, they can be more involved in their community. Again, we do person-centered resources for them as well through social stories, social scripts, helping them to practice their replacement behavior. So instead of screaming or hitting the table because I want something to eat or I want something to drink, maybe it's, asking for, hi, can I get a glass of water? Or, hey, can I get a snack? It could be with their verbal skills. It could be with a communication device. But we really try to help the individuals get their needs and their wants addressed in whatever form of communication that they have, so that they don't use those dangerous and the maladaptive behaviors. Now, does that mean that every behavior is going to stop just because they have a behavior plan in place? Well, no, that's not what that means at all. But it just means that the idea is to help reduce the dangerous and undesired behaviors in ways that are more socially appropriate and safe.
I would love to add, Diana, if you don't mind, just to reiterate, Diana provided a beautiful example of how we collaborate across disciplines to help our clients. So in the example that Diana gave, with how communication deficits could be linked to challenging behaviors, that's where the behavior therapist and the speech therapist will collaborate to develop tools and strategies that can help our clients. And just want to reinforce that given the wraparound nature of our services, we have clients who might receive one service at a time, or they could receive 3, 4, or 5, or 6 services for that matter. They may receive all of those services at once. And again, we have a super collaborative model and are just super excited with the way that we can provide services with a team approach.
Absolutely.
Thanks for letting me add that.
Oh, no worries. And you did make a good point that I forgot to mention. So with behaviors, especially for our folks who don't have verbal communication skills, one thing that I love to tell providers and share within the examples are, imagine if you have a headache, or imagine if you have a stomach ache and you have no verbal communication skills. How are you going to get that point across? Or for those of us, who are on, medication, maybe it's, a daily medication for heartburn or what have you. We all know medications have side effects. Medications can also interact with one another. And so, especially for those individuals who don't have verbal communication skills, you may not know that a medication is causing headaches. You may not know medication is causing them to feel dizzy or lightheaded or whatever the side effect may be. And so individuals may have issues with being able to communicate pain and discomfort. And so it does come out again as behaviors. And so it's really important for us to be able to have that deep dive into their diagnosis and their medications, to share that information with the providers and the caregivers. We work with a lot of group homes. We work with a lot of day programs who don't have the opportunity to take that time to review and to understand about our individuals. And so that is definitely a part that I love, is to be able to tell providers, do you have any clue who this person is or what their experiences have been? Do you understand that their history involves, maybe it's trauma, maybe it's abuse, maybe it's whatever. And a lot of times it's sad, but they don't, because they hit the ground running. And so that is definitely something that is invaluable, is being able to share with the providers who these clients are, and to be able to express to them the importance of treating them with dignity and with respect and with compassion, because they deserve it. And that is definitely something that is very near and dear to my heart when working with providers for clients. All right, moving on off my soapbox. Psychological services. So these clinicians do have the availability to do assessments. And so what they look at, are there any undiagnosed or misdiagnosed disorders, such as depression, OCD? Is there any undiagnosed PTSD? Are there any impulse disorders or disruptive disorders? Are there any undiagnosed personality disorders, psychotic disorders? So they can do their assessments to determine whether there are these kinds of concerns. If they need additional testing piece, they can refer those out. But we do have a new addition coming to Hansel Union. She is starting, I believe next week. So we do have a doctor of psychology coming on, a PsyD, so she can actually start doing psychological evaluations for our clients, which is a very, very, very new addition to us. So we are super excited about that, to be able to offer that service to our clients as well. And then again, so psychological assessments and psychological evaluations, their process will be a smidge different than the other therapies in that they will do their assessments, they will write their reports, and then they will discharge out. They do not generally continue on because their service is a very in and out type of service. So that is the only one that is generally in and out once they get their work done. Where we are looking to grow. So we have been, again, expanding across the state of Virginia. We have also began our expansion into North Carolina, and we are starting into Virginia as well. So part of the additional services on top of the waiver services we offer here, we do contract work. So we currently have some contracts with local intermediate care facilities, ICFs, to do both speech and behavior plans for them and services for them. We have a contract with the CSA. We have on the Eastern Shore, I believe, and to do OT and speech services for clients who need those services. And then we are approved now in North Carolina for 3 of the 4 MCOs down there. So under VIA Alliance and Partners, we have contracts to be able to provide the same services here that we do, speech, occupational, physical, behavior, and I believe recreation services down there in North Carolina. And then we are starting to expand into West Virginia as well. So keep looking out for growth that is happening in that state as well. We are always looking for other ways to serve the individuals and the communities and the providers that work with our population. So we have been talking about different ideas that we might be able to explore. So some of those include talking about helping some of our day programs and community engagement programs, community coaching providers, get a recreation therapist in to help them develop their recreation programs. A lot of times, sadly, I have gone into day programs and the activity is a coloring sheet with like maybe 4 or 5 crayons on a table. And, that is really not a full-fledged way to spend your day. And so, considering how we can help the providers to improve their programming for their clientele would be one way that we could provide more supports. We have also talked about the idea of doing more behavior training for the staff on the front lines, the DSPs that are providing the day in, day out support to clients in both day programs, group homes, to be able to give them some really good tools and resources, general day-to-day strategies for how to best support individuals to help minimize and manage any behaviors that may come. Of course, that is not going to take the place of specific behavior plans that are needed for each individual, because again, every individual has their own reasons and purposes for using their behaviors, but the idea is to give some general training strategies for staff. OT, we've considered reaching out to programs to see if they might want some help and assistance in developing sensory programs or developing sensory rooms for their day programs. I have been really intrigued and excited about the fact that the day programs that are opening now and have been opened are doing a better job at trying to incorporate sensory strategies in for their clients through sensory rooms, or just the way that they modify the environment to help support the individuals. Maybe it's playing some music, maybe it's having some calming lights or what have you. But I think that is really, really great to be able to do that. And the fact that more providers are aware and are really trying to help manage the individuals and their support needs in those sorts of ways has been really great. And I think being able to offer providers the opportunity to let us come and help them develop that in their program is going to be a great opportunity as well. And then with our PsyD coming on, she is able to do capacity evaluations for agencies such as the community services boards. A lot of times what we'll find is our individuals, once they hit the age of 18, they are their own legal guardians. And what we also find is that they honestly do not have the capacity to make those choices and decisions for themselves. However, until somebody steps up and becomes your legal guardian, which can be a lengthy process and be a very expensive process, they are kind of left to make their own choices and decisions. And so what capacity evaluations do, they are agency specific for sure. But they will determine whether the individual has the capacity to make their own choices and decisions. And if not, they will provide that report, and each agency can then determine who they want to be an authorized representative to help the individual make choices in their decisions for those specific agencies. It does not take the place of a legal guardian. I do want to make that very, very clear. They are still their own legal guardian. It is really for agencies just to make sure that there is somebody else to help that individual make choices for whichever services that they may need, the ongoing services, new services, those sorts of things. And then we are, again, continuously exploring other growth opportunities. So if anybody has any ideas, they are more than welcome to contact us, and we will take that into consideration.
One additional way that we're continuing to grow our services is we now offer private pay or cash pay direct speech therapy services at Hansel Union Consulting for clients who are for pediatric clients, adolescents, as well as adults. Some of you listening may have experienced the long wait list in our area for direct speech therapy services, possibly with an outpatient clinic. So we are now able to provide direct speech therapy services, again, private pay, cash pay, for clients of all ages, clients who have a variety of communication challenges and diagnoses. So that information is on our website. And please, don't hesitate to give our office a call so that we can answer any questions that you have. But just know that we are, as of now, able to provide direct speech therapy services outside of Medicaid waiver. So we're really excited about that.
And Kristi, can you talk about the insurance reimbursement option as well for them?
Yes, of course. So we can provide guidance on helping families, clients to submit, although it's private pay or cash pay upfront, we can provide guidance in how to obtain reimbursement from primary insurance after services are provided. So we'll be able to provide assistance with that as well.
Yes. So in closing out all of this information, our contact information, we have an easy website. It is just hanselunion.com. Our phone number is on the slide, but it is the 757-967-9926. And we are, again, always open to having conversations about how we can come alongside and partner with the community. We definitely love to be active and engaged in the community. I get to go out and do some fun activities, engage in some in events that are part of the community. So if you have any information about community events where you feel like we might be able to go out and just talk to new people and reach people, we are more than welcome to have that conversation as well and take that information and just run with it so that we can provide more services to more clients. And that is what we're here for.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for sharing. I did receive 2 questions on my end. The first question is, what is the process of obtaining a swallow assessment through you all?
Sure, I can speak to that. So, since we serve clients under Medicaid waiver primarily, what the client or individual would need first is to have Medicaid waiver to be able to receive speech services to address those swallowing concerns. However, I would note that we are able to also provide direct speech therapy services to address swallowing concerns as well. But step 1 for swallowing services under therapeutic consultation, Medicaid waiver would be clients or individuals would need that first. However, with our private pay or cash pay speech therapy program that we have now, those services could be provided through that route.
And I did want to piggyback off of that. So for our Medicaid waiver clients, the referral process is the support coordinator goes onto our website. Our referral form is on our website under forms, and they complete the form to send to us, identifying which disciplines they want in. There is a list of items that are needed from the support coordinator to be able to get that referral completed. So it could be their service plan, any hospitalizations, psychiatric or medical, the CIS assessment. So there's a list of a few things that are needed to complete the referral. I have also had situations where a family or a provider will call, say, hey, I am a waiver provider, I have a client, this is what's going on. And I'll have the conversation with them to figure out, like, hey, does this person need, each discipline, or is it just 1 or 2 different disciplines that they need? Going through just a brief couple of questions to figure out what it is that they need. And then I will either tell them that, hey, reach out to your support coordinator and have them make the referral. Or I've also done it to where I have contacted the support coordinator and said, hey, I got a call from one of your clients or their family members. They're looking for, A, B, and C resource or therapy to come in. And so I just wanted to let you know I had that conversation with them. If you want to follow up and then make the referral, that would be great. So it, either or works for sure, but the referral does have to come from the support coordinator here in Virginia.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for clarifying that.
Of course.
And with the waiver, a lot of individuals on the waivers do qualify for environmental modifications. And you guys did touch on this a little bit earlier in your presentation. So do your therapists help connect support coordinators and families with contractors for the environmental modifications, or do you guys provide the environmental modifications or like tablets yourselves?
So as far as the environmental modifications, our therapists, so generally environmental modifications, again, will generally come from the occupational or the physical therapist. Mm-hmm. And so if they determine that an environmental modification is needed, what they will do is they will write for whatever it's needed. So if it's a ramp or some bathroom modifications, whatever it is, they will write the letter of recommendation for it. They will find the contractors who can do it. And then they will submit all of that documentation to the support coordinator to approve for, and then so the support coordinator has to approve of the request, and then they will send it on to the state for approval. But that is definitely something that our team tackles really, really well. I know for speech services, and I know Kristi can speak to this, the back and forth sometimes with insurances can be a real hassle, but our therapists stick with it because they know that it is something that the client needs. And our therapists are well aware that support coordinators are way overworked and really, really stretched thin. And so they do what as much as they can to tackle as much work as they can to keep that off of the support coordinators to do, which is really helpful for the support coordinators, and something that I know that they're appreciative of, that aspect of what our therapists do.
Yeah, and just to speak a bit more about the communication device, or if a client needs like a tablet style device, touched on this earlier, but just to clarify further, high-tech devices are not typically covered under Medicaid waiver. So I mentioned earlier, our speech therapists do work directly with communication device companies and representatives to, after a device trial, if it's deemed necessary and appropriate for the client to receive a permanent device, our therapists work very closely with representatives from various communication device companies to get those devices through clients' primary insurance. It could be like regular Medicaid, but we typically see devices get approved through a variety of insurances. We do see and have recently seen iPads with communication apps getting approved through Medicaid waiver, though. And that technically is a high-tech device. So just something to note there if that's what a client needs. But other dedicated speech generating devices, we're typically working with the communication device companies themselves and getting those through the client's primary insurance.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Of course.
And my question for you all is, what advice would you give to families who are just starting the journey?
Oh, that's a tough one. Are you talking about the journey before waiver or the journey after waiver?
Let's say the journey after waivers.
I would say to families and providers who are on this journey that if your individual is in need of services, don't hesitate to reach out. Don't think that you're not doing something right or that you're missing something. We all need help. We all need help with different things, and reaching out and asking for help. There is no shame in that. It's, personally, I learn on a day-to-day basis. I don't know everything. I can't know everything. And so I would say that it's really important to understand that we are all pieces of a puzzle and that we all bring different knowledge and different skills. And together we can work out a whole bunch of things that we cannot possibly work out separately. So I would say to families, if you have a problem, reach out. If you have a question, reach out. We are always welcome to any conversation, any question. No question is too little. And so we just really want to help partner with individuals and their families and providers again, to help everyone have as great of a life as they can.
Yeah, I would say there's definitely help, know that, but also know there's hope. For you guys as family members or as caregivers, that caretaking side can be extremely taxing and it can be extremely challenging. And just know that at least for our services, we're here for you. We hear you. We walk alongside you. Through your journey, at least, during the time that we have the privilege to serve you. So just know that we're here and we are truly happy and inspired to help in any way that we possibly can.
Thank you so much, ladies. That is fantastic advice. And I want to thank you both again, Kristi and Diana, for sharing your insights and your incredible work that you're doing through Hansel Union Consulting. I can see, and it's very clear, and I hope it's clear to our audience that your commitment and what you guys are doing and the services that you offer is person centered. And due to your growth over the past few years, I can tell that it's definitely making a difference in families across the Commonwealth and West Virginia and all the other states that you guys have expanded to. And to our families and individuals who may be listening and are unsure where to start, like Diana and Kristi said, do not hesitate to reach out for help. Like Kristi said, there's hope even in the challenging moments where it may seem like there is not. They are here to help you. Mom's Emotion is here to help you. We're all providers and we all have the same goal in mind to help you all have a better quality of life. So I would like to thank you all for joining us for another episode of Voices in Motion. And if you would like to learn more about Hansel Union Consulting or would like to contact them, please do not hesitate. And their information is in the comment section. Thank you again.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks again for having us.
Thank you.